All right, so let's just get this out of the way, okay? TRB, we're known for these really awesome, exciting, pump you up intros, whether it's our song or whether it's a video intro on YouTube. But this is the first short notice sort of live Nerdy and Nice. So just so everyone understands, it's gonna look flashier and cooler later.
Well, to be fair, we did have all those things, but the software we're using is having a meltdown that they put in a big notice out being like, sorry, these things don't operate right now.
Right.
So,
So,
hooray, live.
If you're hearing us say this right now, you are the only people that are going to hear this because we are going to correct this later. So that means you're diehards and we love you. So first off, thanks to everybody for joining us with this new venture. But I'm going to kick into sort of like our normal intro here and just say, welcome everybody to Nerdy and Nice. It is the 11th episode of the show. It is the first time we're taking a crack at it live, but if you're listening or watching, we thank you so much. Whether you found us through the Resistance broadcast, our Star Wars podcast, or you stumbled upon us in another way on your nerdy, geeky venture through TV, film, and pop culture, we thank you very much. So before anything, make sure you're subscribed to our channel. That's TRB. So you have Nerdy and Nice, and you have the Resistance broadcast at youtube.com/@TRB podcasts. And Nerdy and Nice is also on its own audio feed. So please head to Apple or Spotify or wherever you get your favorite podcast and subscribe to us there. Let's try to grow this show too. It's grassroots right now for Nerdy and Nice, but we'll see if we can catch it up to TRB. That's the goal. That's the dream. But it's still me and Lacey doing our thing as always. Just this time talking about all the other stuff we love, Lacey. And how's it going, buddy?
It's going good. You know, we're gearing up for San Diego ComicCon. This, for me at least, I feel like this is the first real big one that's gonna that it's back. Because the past few years is kind of, you know, with COVID and then the writer's strikes, and then I feel like this is the first one that's gonna be a real big weekend with a lot of announcements. So I'm excited to talk about it. And then right after that is D23, which is another big weekend.
So there's convention marketing, and then there is obviously more standard forms of marketing. But we've noticed, at least over the past year, that some studios, and whether it be, you know, directors being hands-on with it or actors, there's a new modern approach to movie marketing, and it really does involve doing simple things, but things that make people want to share it with people they know. You know what I'm saying? And I know this is a big thing that you've been focusing on lately. You're in social media marketing. So before we get into our main stories of the day, Lacey, your thoughts on the latest batch of things we saw. I know you showed me the long legs thing and also the Twister stuff going on. So what's your take on all this new type of marketing that is really maybe better than a billboard on Sunset Boulevard or your other standard ways of marketing that we saw hurt stuff like Indiana Jones last year?
I just think companies are getting more creative after Barbie last summer. I think Barbie really set the bar, if you will. You're welcome. No, really set like the tone for how marketing needs to go moving forward, because it really makes or breaks a movie. Sometimes I've been convinced to see movies that are absolutely terrible, but oftentimes movies do really well when they have good marketing. That's how you get butts in the seats, especially now when people are making those choices to wait out till streaming or not. You got to have some marketing. So some of the things that I've really noticed recently were with the Planet of the Apes movie, where they had the guys on the apes on the horses riding in popular cities. Those were really cool, really stuck out. You were like, oh my gosh, this is so nuts. Then there was the popcorn buckets, of course, with Wolverine and Deadpool, where they're playing on the whole Dune thing, which Dune did that not on purpose. They thought they were being like, hey, look at this cool worm bucket. And it turned into a whole internet thing that I don't think they intended on. Just like the Grimace shake was a big thing, but that was
everyone's a pervert. Really?
Yeah, it didn't intend to be what it was, but Deadpool and Wolverine, the new Deadpool movie,
Oh
really
boy.
leaned into that, obviously, because that's his character, is to do those kind of
Romulus.
crude jokes. What?
So if it's real, I don't know, the alien Romulus one. I saw that making the
Oh,
rounds.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
so popcorn buckets seem to be the big thing at movie theaters to kinda draw people in, which you have the Ghostbusters one.
I got the Ghostbusters one, but I didn't. So it worked because it got me to buy a product from the theater, and I don't know
Yeah.
if that helps, but
Yeah.
I didn't buy it. I didn't go to the theater to see the movie because I didn't because and not because I didn't want to see the movie. We all know I saw it. We all know it like broke my heart, and
Mhm.
Ghostbusters is officially over. But I'm kidding, kinda. But I but
Kind of. Kind of.
with having little kids, you and I talk about this a lot. We don't get to like where we're at right now in our lives. We don't get to go all the time to the theater, so we really have to have something to pull us in.
Yeah, you can't just be like, "Hey, I'm going to movies now." That's
Right.
not a thing. You
Yeah.
need, like, 2 weeks notice. You gotta
Yeah.
find the perfect time.
Mhm.
Um, but recent movies that have done an amazing job have been Longlegs and Twisters. Longlegs is the, out now serial killer, Silence of the Lambs style movie with Nick Cage. Um, and their marketing is just incredible, which I think horror movies in general are just killing every. I mean, again, didn't mean that, but they're killing every other movie genre.
You're
Well,
writing what is it? You're writing like pull quotes for movie reviews.
I'm
It's
not
like
being.
someone's like writing like they do a review about like The Bear, and they're like, "Oh, the tension's really baked into the scripts on this one." It's like,
Buckle up, it's a blast.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, but Longlegs has really, really good marketing. One of the things was that they were never going to show Nicolas Cage's full getup until you saw the movie. The director and Nicolas Cage decided that that was the best option for the movie because it was kind of like the Jaws thing that you've talked about, John, where they don't show what's scary and it makes it
Right.
even more scary.
Yep.
Also found out that the director of that is the weird guy from Legally Blonde. The guy that, like, gets the muffins
Oh,
that,
Luke
like
Wilson?
no,
Oh.
the other guy at Harvard that gets the book from the top shelf for her, the, like, kinda brooding guy that she slaps in
Oh,
the
yeah.
face, and she's like, "How
Yeah.
could you leave me after such a wonderful night?"
Yep.
Or, like, 3 wonderful nights or whatever.
He directed it?
Yeah, and wrote it,
Hmm.
which is surprising, but at the same time, he plays such a character that you're like, "That kinda checks out." Anyway,
Yeah.
um
I you sent me that clip
yes,
and
so the thing I thought that the best thing that they've done was a clip of Micah Moore, who is the main woman in the movie. She plays kinda like
Monroe, right? Micah Monroe?
Monroe, sorry,
Yeah.
Monroe. Yes, there is a Micah Moore, but I'm getting the name wrong. Micah Monroe, who's known for being in a lot of horror stuff. She was in a video from the production company where they put a heart monitor on her, like a microphone on her heart, and recorded her heartbeat rate the moment she was outside the room, what her resting heartbeat was, and then what her heartbeat was when she's in the room with Nicolas Cage as the serial killer.
Crazy.
And they released it as like a teaser. They were like, this is her in the room with the guy that she knows isn't even real. And she's so terrified. Listen to her heartbeat. It was one of the coolest things I've ever seen for
Mhm.
marketing, I think.
It is impressive. And do you buy it? Do you think that was real?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause
I
when you're
yeah.
acting, you have to, like, get into the part, you get yourself riled up.
I'll admit this. I've always liked Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
He always like I saw someone I don't know if it was a tweet or an article, but I saw someone say like, whether you're a big fan of Nicolas Cage or not, like you can never say that guy didn't put like everything into every role he had.
Every role, and he's doing amazing
That's
stuff
what I'm
right now.
saying. And so out of respect for him and like this, I don't want to say resurgence because I hate like I know actors don't
It's a
like people saying like,
renaissance.
"Oh, you're back. It's so good that you're back." Like that woman who
Josh
interviewed
Hartnett.
Josh Hartnett, and he's
Mhm.
like, "I've been acting. You see me as back, and I guess that's okay, but I didn't go anywhere." So anyway, Nick Cage, he's like, this is like another phase of his career where he's like back at the top in a sense, where he's making a lot of good stuff and people want to put him in stuff. So out of respect for all that, I haven't tried to look up what he looks like
They
because
haven't released it.
yeah, but I'm sure if you go
No,
digging,
I've looked.
You tried to find it? The
Yeah.
queen of, ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad we're live, okay? Because now you're gonna see the truth, okay? And if you tuned in live, there's a good chance because she may cut this out in the edit. We're
I'm
not
not
sure,
gonna cut
folks.
anything out. I have
No, she
nothing to
won't cut it.
hide.
No, she won't cut
I
it
have
out.
nothing to
But
hide.
so Lacey always gives me crap when if I accidentally spoil something, and here she is digging through Reddit looking for long legs on the
No.
bowels of the internet.
I wasn't looking for story plot. I was looking to see what he looked like.
I know that's a spoiler,
I didn't find anything.
but you looked. It's like a kid saying, "I didn't find my Christmas presents," but it's like, yeah,
I
but you
didn't.
tried
So
looking.
I have nothing to spoil, though, is what I'm
Mm.
saying. All I have is the back of his head and the
What?
image they released of his hand in front of his
What if
face.
he's literally just a pair of legs?
No, they've released a picture of him
Oh, so not see, that's the thing. I haven't seen any of it. That's the
in the
whole point.
trailer. You haven't watched the trailer?
I did watch the trailer. You don't see Nick Cage in the trailer.
You see like his hands over his face. You don't see him, but
Exactly.
that's
Right,
what I've
but
seen.
yeah, oh, well, I'm saying you were trying to see the whole.
Because I'm never gonna see that movie because people said they've left that movie and haunted for years, like that it traumatized them and they're crying like 4 days later. You
You're not
think
gonna
I'm
watch
gonna
it?
mentally handle that? No.
Well, you watched the end of Smile, whatever.
Yeah, and I regretted it. I had like it made me feel sick for like a week and a half.
Really?
Yes, every once in a while it would like creep back into my head how like terrible it was.
Oh my god. All right, well, if you're not gonna watch it, fine.
Yeah, I'm not gonna watch it.
Then I withdraw. I withdraw the
But I didn't even see anything, so you're making
Alright.
this big deal.
All right, anyway. And Twisters, I mean, they're doing such a
Glenn
they're doing,
Powell is his time to shine.
but it's the whole cast getting together and doing like these quick little stupid dances, and like that
Tom Cruise
costs
going to their premiere.
that costs $0 to do that. They
Mhm.
post it. People are like, "Oh my god, Glenn Powell's doing this dance with his castmates," and 5 million people see it, and they're like, "You know what? Maybe I'll go see Twisters because it looks fun." And it costs $0 for them to film that and post it. Literally.
They also did the upside down movie marquees that look like a Twister.
Now
has
that
thrown
costs
it through
something, but that is cool.
Yeah, and the billboards where they throw like chairs through the wall.
Yeah.
They
I mean,
really leaned, and the wind tunnels. They're doing wind tunnels in movie theaters that you
it's
can go
very
in.
clever. It's
Yeah,
very clever. And
that's
we're
how I like my
seeing
movies.
people will go back to the theaters if it's something they're hearing is good, or there's at least some sort of buzz around it, and overall it gets, a quality review or what have you. Because like Inside Out 2 is becoming the biggest animated film of all time.
That's surprising to me. I was
And
very
it snuck up,
surprised by that.
it snuck up on me out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, Inside Out 2. Okay. I haven't seen the first. I'm sure it's gonna do all right. And bang, 1.2 billion or whatever it's at. It's just so people will go to see movies. It's just you gotta present it to them because cable's not gonna work anymore. People are cutting the cord. People are on social media for their news. That studios need to make these shifts.
A lot of people have tuned out social media because of the news.
That's true too. Yeah, but they're finding their news in other ways, and really we're in the age of snippets and stuff like that. So I think this new clever approach to marketing anyway is a good thing, and I hope stuff that we love like Star Wars and other things go that route.
I mean, not to be too nerdy with the marketing stuff, but only because I know I gave a presentation on it not too long ago. The attention span of Gen Z is like 1.3 seconds online. If you don't get
And
them
you could
within 1.3 seconds, and then if you
Yeah.
don't get everybody else between 3 to 5 seconds, people scroll on like Instagram or TikTok. So that's kind of what's driven a lot of these, especially the YouTube clips that are like trailer starting now, that I hate. I hate it. They do it because YouTube does the autoplay, but then also they have to get people within those first 3 to 5 seconds to get you to stick around.
Yeah, I agree. It's and you could safely say that because if their attention span is 1.3 seconds, we're 14 minutes into this podcast. Nobody has heard that, so you're all set.
Yeah, I know.
All right, Lacey, let's get into our main stories, and then we're gonna do our takes on some trailers and give some predictions for San Diego ComicCon. So, what is happening?
Before I get into what's happening, if anybody in the chat has some questions about what they'd like us to talk about, or any questions you have about the topics we're discussing, please let us know in the chat, and we'll try to get them towards the end of the show. So first up, we have kind of like the big thing that happened today, actually, but will probably be the big news of the week, which is Stranger Things 5 made a making of clip, behind the scenes clip of the final season, season 5. Such good music. Millie Bobby Brown is in it. She says, I started this when I was 10. I'm now 20. So I
And
can't even.
married, right?
Yeah, she's married now. So I can't even believe it's been 10 years. And I don't know how I feel about that. Like, I love that they've taken time to make this a really good story. But at the same time, I feel like television is getting destroyed by these like 2-year breaks of not getting what's next. Like, the break that you get with shows now is just so much.
I agree with you in that sense, because I remember watching Ozark and liking Ozark, but then every time the new season came around, and it may have been the next year, sometimes it was 2 years or whatever, but I was like, I don't even remember this dude's name. Like, I have to get I got to go on YouTube and get a season 2 recap of what happened to these people.
One time you watch like previously on, you're like, oh, thank God.
Yes.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. And so with that, like, but the thing I'll say about Stranger Things is, even in watching this video, like, they have massive warehouses with huge sets, and these are like movie productions, and they're doing apparently longer episodes than season 4. The strike stuff happened. So with Stranger Things, like, when I watch that, I'm like, this is what I wish like the Star Wars shows looked like, like, it looks so freaking good. And you can
all the
make
goo they were putting all over the stuff. The guy was just putting goo.
You can make the Stranger Things Star Wars comparison, because they're both fantastical. So Stranger Things also needs to do VFX of these creatures and all these physical sets, and like you're saying, the slime and the monsters and stuff. And it just, every season it seems to look better and better. And they're saying this one's going to be even bigger. So if it's taking them time, it's taking them time. I do feel like some of the kids are maybe like tapped out, but I hope they, they're professionals. I know they're young, but they're professionals. I hope they still bring it and don't like phone it in for this last one. And they have great directors. Sean Levy, obviously.
They made sure you saw him front and center. You're
like,
there's Sean Levy. He's
they should
back.
Be like, bing! Deadpool Wolverine director Sean Levy.
Well, not even that. Like, the guy that made the most memorable scene in the last season, if not in all Stranger Things, also is back again. He did the Kate Bush running up that hill scene.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I'm excited for it, and I'm okay that this one's taking time, but I understand your point. Like, some shows, it's just like, oh my God, I forgot about that show.
Yeah.
Even House of the Dragon, I see people in the chat talking about it. I haven't started season 2 yet, because I forgot a lot of how season 1 went. So I gotta I gotta get myself caught back up on that, and then dive back
your rewatch now. Maybe we should do a rewatch of Stranger Things.
We can do a rewatch. Yeah, that could be fun.
Skip season 3.
But so this clip, I think if I was to do the thing I do with like Star Wars and stuff, and like, we try to like say like, oh, what's that in the background? Is that someone's jacket? Is that person's thing? I didn't really do that with this. I just wanted to sort of watch it as a fan and enjoy it, and sort of like remember why I like the show. And just seeing the cast talking about like, like the Finn Wolfhard saying like, I love that I have scenes with the original 4 boys again. I'm like, okay, so they really don't go trying to round it out. It was just enough for me. It didn't give a lot away. It checked in with everybody, didn't spoil too much. So I thought it was really
definitely there. You see him walking around.
Who?
Vecna.
Oh yeah, they interviewed him, and he's in his like makeup chair before he gets the makeup, and he's like, it's bigger than season 4, and it's like, wow, okay. And you see like the wardrobes and just how much goes into this show. I think that's what they were sort of saying, is like, this isn't a we want to show you what it's like making Stranger Things. We want to like give a nod to everybody who's ever been involved with this show, because they showed the costumes, they showed the makeup, they showed casting, they showed all this stuff, and I thought it was a really nice touch and well done, and I'm looking forward to it.
I mean, that's 10 years of these people's lives. Like, yeah, it's 10 years of our life because we're fans, but of the people that work on this project, like that's your life. The costumes, the creature people, makeup, especially the makeup designers with the whole Vecna stuff. Like,
Yes.
that is your kind of piece de resistance. Like, your life is, oh, I did Stranger Things. Like, you can do anything after this.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a Stranger Things moment that like stays with you more than any other moment?
Oh, that's a good question. Nothing from season 3.
Get out of here, season 3.
If you don't like season 3, get out. I would say, I mean, the running up that hill thing was huge. I loved all the Eddie Munson stuff. I'm gonna say the Master of Puppets. Eddie Munson playing Master of Puppets with Dustin there to conjure the bats away and stuff like that. It's my favorite song of all time, off my favorite album of all time, from my favorite band, and it was my favorite character on the show. I was like, it was one of those like choose your own adventures, and when people say like they give you exactly what you're looking for, I was like, this is amazing. They're playing Master of Puppets, so I'm gonna go with the Master of Puppets scene in season 4. I thought that was just so awesome.
I don't talk about the Bob stuff. We don't talk about Bob.
Oh yeah, Sean Astin.
Such a sad scene. I'm probably gonna go back to season 1, and what made it so magical was like the first scene with the boys playing D&D, and they're like, the Demogorgon. Oh
Mm-hmm.
no. And then also when Winona Ryder did the letters on the wall with the Christmas lights.
Yeah, that was good.
Oh, that was so cool. And then
Yeah.
after that, it was like you saw that everywhere. Everybody's house was that for Halloween. And people were doing it in their own rooms. Like, it was just one of those cool things that if
Yeah, I went to
you
the
watch Stranger Things.
experience in
Oh, yeah,
Brooklyn,
you did. Did they have
and they have the
letters?
room. Yeah, I'll see if I can find the
Aw.
pictures. I'll try to post them to Nudie and Nice, because I dressed up. I dressed up sort of like Eddie Munson,
Oh, yeah, you did.
and they, like, put me in the show. They, like, put me in the thing.
I think the most shocking scene for me in all of Stranger Things is still the Chrissy scene from season 4.
Oh,
Chrissy, wake up.
yeah. That was messed up. That's when, like, when I saw that scene,
It's a turning
especially
point in the show.
off of season 3, I was like, "Oh my god, they are going dark on this season.
'Cause the
Holy
kids are
cow."
older. Yeah, they can.
It's scary. It is scary. Like, there's no doubt about it. Season 4 of Stranger Things, like, took back to the horror way of things.
Yeah.
But remember when I said my fear with this show is because you bring up the very first scene of the boys playing. Remember what I said what would ruin this whole show?
No. Oh, if it was all dream?
If we go back, they filmed extra stuff when they filmed the first thing, and we go back and it turned out it was just the boys. They fell asleep playing the game, and they wake up and everything's fine and they're playing their game together.
I hate
That
that. Why would you
that would
say that?
ruin, because shows and movies have done that before. Wizard of
I
Oz,
know.
like
Yeah.
it,
Well, I feel
you
like
know,
that's the only one that's kind of an example of she wakes up, but it was a was it, wasn't it type thing. Did she,
yeah,
didn't she?
or to a lesser extent, the Adam Sandler vehicle Click from
I
2006.
never saw that. I don't
Oh,
know.
okay, sorry, I just spoiled that for you, I guess.
Thank you so much.
Kate
Spoilers.
Beckinsale looks fantastic in that movie. She's
Oh,
wonderful.
that's a good point. Matt in the chat says Jumanji. Kinda. It just resets more than a
Mhm.
dream. They win the
Yeah.
games. Um, in less of a wonderful, nostalgic, everything we just said, story, we're not gonna go to our next viral story that I feel like everybody's been talking about for weeks. I can't get away
I
from this
almost said
person,
something, but I feel like you would have been mad if I said it, so I didn't say
which
it.
is go ahead, say it.
I was gonna say, "Spit it out already, Lacey."
Oh, jeez. Well played. All right. The Hawk Tuah girl, Haley Welch, drawing interest for reality shows. Those of you that don't know, first of all, you're not on the internet enough because this girl has been everywhere. A little bit of a rundown for people that are listening at home that don't know who Haley Welch is, Hawk Tuah girl. Uh, she is a girl that was out partying one night in Nashville, having a great old time, probably in her 20s. She looks like she's like college or something. She was getting interviewed by one of those annoying TikTok interview guys that are like, "What do you like in a guy?" And I believe he asked, what did he ask her again? He was like, how do you keep a guy happy? Or
what do you do to keep him around? What do you do in bed to keep him around or something like
yeah,
that?
and she said famously in her charming Southern accent, "You got to Hawk Tuah and spit on that thing." That's what she said. So long story short, the internet blew up with this, especially with dudes. Am I right? Dudes loved this clip. It was everywhere. Got some funny remix from it. But the interesting thing is everyone went, "Oh, is she popular now?" It's like that meme with the guy with the butterflies, and he's like, "Is this a famous actress?" Because she's now getting offers for reality TV shows. I know one of the tweets I had sent John was from Discussing Film. They had said a producer had come out saying that 3 different movies had offered her a role in the movie. One of them being the director or producer offered to reshoot the end of the movie with her in it. And the producer had replied to her, or her agent had replied to her, like, she said no to all these things, and specifically, like, go find an actress to do these things.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
what are your thoughts?
I heard she's in talks, and that's, that's not confirmed or
She
anything.
said no to movies, to be clear. I don't know about TV, but for movies, she said no.
She might be cast to play Lizzo's sister in The Mandalorian season 4.
You're ridiculous. You're so ridiculous.
I think this is crazy. Good for her. Make your money, do your thing, live an awesome life. I have no problems with that. But yeah, we live in this crazy world now where I've seen on more than one occasion, it feels like studios are feeling the pressure to the point where they think the answer is getting people who have viral moments and putting them into their product.
Mhm.
I think this is a mistake.
Mhm.
One, if you're looking for the short term financial satisfaction that you think this might help you with, and I don't think it would, I urge you to look at things that are very dated because of in the moment referential stuff.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of the Mike Myers stuff over the years, like when he did the third Austin Powers, and you have Britney Spears and Pepsi all over it, and it's just like it's just very dated and weird. I don't like this trend that seems to be giving more power because it's creating more mindless, vapid, viral stuff. And I feel like in so many different areas, whether it's AI or like AI, like taking like jobs away from artists. I think I saw Brian Ward in the chat. We love Brian's art, and there's plenty of other artists out there like him, of course. Or it's these viral people getting like media outlets putting microphones in their hand and saying, "Go work for us, go interview these actors," and we see the results of that versus actual people who know how to give interviews. It's brutal. She posted it publicly, so I'm sure she wouldn't mind me saying it. Ash Crossan just let go from ET Online, and Ash is one of the best that we know to have
The
done that.
best. Has gotten
So
so many views for that entertainment organization, if not
I know it's
popularity,
crazy,
opportunities, everything that she's done for them.
but
It bananas.
instead you get you're getting these people rolling up with the tiny mics, Lacey, as you say.
No, not even that. It was a lav mic because people are
Oh,
goons.
lav mics, and really just asking things that aren't doing anything for the audience. It's doing things for their personal platform. And it sucks. It hurts us as the audience because we're not getting, thoughtful answers that may have come from decades past. There's a lot of great interviews back in the day with actual journalists and giving insight into these movies, or modern day today. Like we were saying, people who are actual professionals doing this stuff. So we're hurting as consumers, they're hurting, and all this stuff is just trending in the wrong way. I'm happy for this girl. I'm happy she gets to have her money and all that stuff. It's not something she tried to create. They created it around
Yeah,
her.
she was just on the
I
street
would
when it
take the
happened.
same thing, and everyone watching this and listening to this would also take the deals and take the money and stuff too.
I would.
So I have no problems with her whatsoever.
It's
She's
just
famous
unfortunate for
because she's
everybody else
famous.
that gets hurt by it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you got to separate it that way. But
Are
anyway,
you gonna give your try to do it? Because someone in the chat a couple people were saying I wasn't Southern enough, so I might have to do it again. But go ahead, you give your take. I want to hear you say it.
Take of what?
Hawk Tuah.
You gotta give that Hawk Tuah spit on that thing.
Who did you just become? Who just took over your body?
I'm a different I came out the other side of that a different person. I'm not gonna lie.
My favorite part is after she goes, "You feel me?
You get me?
Get me? You feel me?"
And her friend probably gave even crazier answers. But anyway, we spent too much time on this. God bless you, Hawk Tuah girl. May you make all the millions.
Heart.
Yes, do everything you want to do in life. Have a wonderful life. Congratulations. Good for you. All right.
That was so good. It was worth the ask.
Jeez. I only do it for our audience, even though Nerdy and Nice doesn't have the TRB audience yet. I am willing to do it. I guess.
I'm dying. Who did you just channel? Like in your head, who were you thinking you were? Because that wasn't her. It was someone else.
I don't know. I'll have to listen back and see if I like put someone in my head.
Spit on that thing.
Spit on that thing.
All right. Our next story is something that's exciting, but at the same time, I'm like, another sequel? So the Devil Wears Prada sequel is in the works with Meryl Streep, Emily Blunt, and supposedly Anne Hathaway returning. We have this lovely image that John wanted of the three of them together from the original film.
None of them, like, they all have the face on.
They do. They have this serious fashion face.
Yeah. Emily Blunt, like, is this the hottest Emily Blunt ever? Good Lord.
Well, it has to be one of the best times she's looked, because that's what got John Krasinski to fall in love with her. And she has said numerous times that she comes home and he'll be watching that movie.
He's like, yeah, his fetish is, can you act like your character from The Devil Wears Prada and just be completely mean to me for 90 minutes?
One of my favorite things is when she's like, "No, shan't."
She's great in that movie. She might be my favorite part of that whole movie.
Is great in that movie.
Who?
Stanley Tucci.
Oh yeah, he's good. But I think
he's
Emily
supposedly
Blunt
coming back too.
Oh yeah, I'll watch it for sure. Yeah.
So what do you think of the first one? What do you think of this? Are you excited? Do you think it's lame?
I think the first movie's good. I think there's this fear of some men to be like, oh, I like The Devil Wears Prada, but I liked it, and I like rom-coms, and this isn't necessarily a rom-com, really.
The true villain is her boyfriend. That's like, I made you a grilled cheese.
Adrian Grenier.
Yeah, he's the real villain.
No, yeah, I enjoyed the first one. I'll watch the second one for sure. But I definitely think Emily Blunt was the best part of the first one. So I hope she still has like a decent role, but she hasn't like changed her character too much. Like, I don't want her and like Anne Hathaway, if she even comes back, to be like best friends now. And there's like I still want her to be. I want them all to sort of
someone talk about what the plot is. The plot is that Meryl Streep's character, it has to go to Emily Blunt's character, who's the lead of like an agency or something, to get it back on her magazine back on track, or get attention. Like, so she's at the mercy of Emily Blunt's character.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's what I heard.
Sign me up. Sign me up.
That seems like fun. But now we're going to talk into what is currently being made and will come out soon in some trailer time.
Yes. So the first one here, I am very, very excited about. Now, I don't know that do you want to run through each of these, or should we just talk about things from these 4 trailers? Like, I'll say what the trailers are and we talk about what we want to talk about. How do you want to handle this? Do you want to run through it like we usually do, or
maybe run through each one? I have thoughts on each one.
All right, cool. All right. So the first one is, we're going to talk about Gladiator 2, Agatha All Along, Captain America Brave New World, and We Live in Time, which is the drama romance.
Which had me crying before this. So.
We'll talk about it.
Spoiler alert.
We will talk about this. The existentialism is getting very real.
Yeah.
So Gladiator 2, I am very, very excited about this movie. When I probably like most people, when I first heard it was announced, I was like, how the hell are they going to do this? How are they going to make a sequel to that movie? And I put it away in my brain, and it comes back, and I see this trailer, and I'm like, oh my God. So I am very excited. It looks massive. Ridley Scott is not afraid of what's happening with theater returns. He's like, I'm going to make the best movie I possibly can. And who's going to tell Ridley Scott, we can't give you any more money for your movie? Nobody's going to tell him that.
Nobody's
He's
gonna do it,
8,000 years old, still killing it, still has a chip on his shoulder. I love it. I'm so excited that he's back, that the cohesiveness is going to be there. And this cast, I'm not too familiar with Paul Mescal, who's playing the lead now, Lucius, who was the boy in the first one. But you got Pedro Pascal, who I think his star has dimmed a little from when it was like white hot, but he's still a big name. Denzel Washington, one of the greatest of all time. Joseph Quinn, maybe still a rising star, and Connie Nielsen back from the first, coming out around Thanksgiving time. I know you haven't seen the first, Lacey, so you probably don't have too many thoughts on it. But for fellow Gladiator fans, I want to know what you think in the comments. Let us know on social media. I'm pumped about this, but I have a feeling there's not too much to get Gilly here in the theater to see this.
Well, the thing is we did talk about this recently on our Patreon page, which will be coming out soon as a bonus episode, mini episode. We did break down the trailer and talked about it with our patrons. And I felt terrible because I haven't seen the first one, and I honestly am not excited about this movie whatsoever. I have no interest. Yeah, I'm sorry. So
that's okay. Let's move on to the next one, which is Agatha All Along. I will let you start with this one. So Catherine Hahn, obviously off the heels of WandaVision, that song, it went viral again, more viral moments, and I feel like that led to this being greenlit in a weird way. So what do you think of, we finally got the trailer, we got the title. What do you think of this? It's coming out September 18th, Agatha All Along. What do you think of the trailer here, Lacey?
it was very spooky. I was surprised it's coming out, I believe, around Halloween or on Halloween, right?
September 18th.
Yeah, so around Halloween.
Yeah.
I thought that was a brilliant move because in the past they've released kind of spooky things either over the summer, like they did with Haunted Mansion, or like at other times of the year, and I'm like, why wouldn't they save this for Halloween? Um, Look, Catherine Hahn is amazing. She could do anything, and I'd watch it. So I will be watching this. It doesn't hurt that it also has many other people in the cast, including I'm blanking on her name from Park and Rec. Oh, Plaza? Aubrey Plaza?
Aubrey Plaza, yeah.
Yeah, it has her in it, which she looks amazing too. I loved the way they introed this trailer where she's like kind of like a detective FBI agent. And then she shows up and she's like, "Are you really still doing this? Like, get out of here." And it had like Wanda's name on the ticket. Like she was stuck somewhere, which I thought was so crazy. I'm just interested to see how they tie this all together. Because as you know, with any Marvel project, they're all tied in certain ways. How is this going to play out? Is this going to be connected to something else? Are we going to see any Easter eggs, or are we going to see any characters in this outside of, special sneak cameos and stuff like that? But I feel like this is a different vibe than what we're used to with Marvel. I think they went a little crazy with the Doctor Strange movie. Went a little more this way with Sam Raimi, where it was spooky, horror, gory, scary, whatever. But I like that this trailer did have those comedic beats. Like, it didn't take itself too seriously, which I appreciate, because something can be horror, and have those moments that like truly sit with you, but then to break it up with some funny lines here and there, make it more entertaining for me at least.
Yeah, I hear you there. And I by the end of its run, it's gonna, like, the second to last episode comes out on Devil's Night, and then like a week, like 5 days after Halloween, the finale. So they're gonna give you the whole October run. Everyone has the Halloween feels going on. It's smart, like you said, perfect there. I watched this with my face did not move. I didn't feel anything.
Really?
Yeah, I was surprised because I love Catherine Hahn. Her performance in Step Brothers is one of the funniest. I love her role in Step Brothers.
Even
She's
with the
so funny.
music? The music was so good.
I think the music was I think the music made it an okay trailer.
Wow, you're only saying okay?
Yeah, I don't know what it was. I I feel I need to learn more about how this show was produced
Mm.
because I feel like there's a lot of stagecraft look going on. And I'm getting a little too observant of that right now. So I'm even a little nervous about the Mando stuff for Star Wars because I guess they're going to start filming that soon in Southern California. But I don't know what it was. I didn't go in trying to not like it or anything. I'm still
Mhm.
surprised that this is a show, but I love Catherine Hahn, and I was like, give me something, hook me here, hook me the way that song hooked me a couple years ago, and nothing hooked me. And I granted it's just a trailer, and maybe when it comes around, like it's summer right now, maybe when like the leaves start changing, it starts getting crisp, I start getting into it. This trailer did nothing for me.
That's very interesting because I feel like the next one did nothing for me.
I love this. Right. All right, so the next one is Captain America: Brave New World, starring Anthony
I'm the
Mackie
president.
taking on the role of Captain America, and Harrison Ford playing the president, and spoiler alert, apparently Red Hulk.
That's what people think, yeah.
Yeah. And they even make a nod about why he doesn't have a mustache. Apparently Harrison Ford didn't want to have a mustache in this one, so they didn't want to upset people, but at the same time, like, it's Harrison Ford, he's gonna do whatever the hell he wants
Yeah,
anyway.
he's like, "I'm not getting a mustache,
But
get out of here."
I thought I'm not the biggest Anthony Mackie fan. I like him. Um, it depends on the role. But this looked good to me. This looks like a big movie, like the
Mhm.
opposite of what I was just saying about Agatha all along, which I know is being made for television. I know that's completely different, but we have seen these shows have these big budgets. This looks like a big time movie. It looks like a big offering from Marvel. It looks like it has stakes to it. It doesn't look like it's just one of those movies that is hanging out at the party too long off of the end game shrapnel. This looks like a fresh new launching pad for the next Captain America, which makes
Mhm.
sense. And I love Harrison Ford, so that's just a cherry on the sundae. So I liked what I saw of this, and and maybe our audience, whether they're new or not, knows I'm not the biggest Marvel guy. I'm definitely more of a DC guy. So I'll have more thoughts on this when we get into our predictions, maybe in a bit. But this looks good to me, so I want to hear your thoughts as to why this did nothing for you.
So, it's funny that I'm saying this because I would say out of the 2 of us, I'm probably more of the Marvel person than DC. Wouldn't you think that's pretty
Yeah,
fair?
yeah, yeah.
Um,
I'm
yeah.
converting you though. I feel like
Are you though? Or is it James Gunn's converting me?
it's probably James Gunn.
I Anthony Mackie's great. Harrison Ford's great, although now Harrison Ford's at that point in his life that he sounds the same in every role. Like, he has that, like, "Yeah, I'm just an old man, they couldn't get rid of me, like, he just sounds the same in everything. So I'm like, "Okay, Han Solo." Uh, he
Wait, hold on. Do the Hawk Tuah in your Harrison Ford voice.
I don't know if I can. You got a Hawk
See?
Tuah on that thing. And then punch someone. Um Anyway, I just felt like this trailer didn't give me anything because oh my god, I'm blanking right now on it's been a long day, guys. It's on the show they just had. Winter Soldier, Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Yeah.
Yeah. That show, he kind of dealt with all that, like, am I not Captain America? Am I worthy of the shield? Would Steve want me to have this? Am I the person to take this on? Blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And it feels like that this movie is an extension of that. It's like, "Oh, we need you to step up. You need to be you're no Steve Rogers." Okay, like, we've already done this. Like, we just did this with the show, so I'm just, like, not sure what the payoff of this movie is gonna be besides Red Hulk, where you're like, "Oh, that's new and different. That's cool." But the whole movie to me, I was just or not movie, but movie trailer to me, just felt like a bunch of scenes they were showing you that didn't give a lot away. Like,
Mm.
they have him throwing the shield down a hallway and they made it look like it slices off the top of the White House. Like, that's not what happens. It's a shield. It's not gonna slice. But I am interested to know if they shot this at Tyler Perry's White House in Georgia. I found out a couple years ago that Tyler Perry built a replica of the White House on his soundstage
Are
so
you
that
kidding?
no, so that he could shoot like White House stuff, like
I have
president stuff.
Can I tell you something?
What?
Principal photography began on March 21st, 2023 at
Mhm.
Trilith Studios in Atlanta, Georgia. Under the working title, ready Seinfeld fans? Rochelle. A young woman's journey from Milan to Minsk.
I think that must be the case then. They did shoot this in Atlanta and/or at Tyler Perry's thing. I don't know what Tyler Perry's company is or his studio is, but I know he has a White House. So when I saw this, I was like, I wonder if they shot this at Tyler Perry's White
Well,
House.
you may be right.
It's one of the weirdest things, and I think it's honestly, one of my friends, I think, who has been there on the lot and saw it, and he was telling me all about it. Anyway, I just feel like this I don't know, I couldn't get into this, and I'm such a Marvel fan. I love Captain America, that might be my bias as well, like, I love Steve Rogers, so I'm a little like, but Anthony Mackie's great. I just love him as the Falcon. But I understand that this is the progression of his character and like who he is next. And this is what, that universe needs. I'm interested once again, just like with Agatha, where does this all connect? Which we'll probably get into our San Diego Comic-Con conversation.
Oh, for sure. All right. Now the last trailer here we have it looks like it's gonna be a tearjerker. Heavy
Mhm.
drama. We Live in Time
They
starring
call it a rom-com, by the way.
this is not a rom-com.
It is not a rom-com.
This is what I call a death drama.
Oh, okay.
So you have Andrew Garfield, Florence Pugh. Great, wonderful. But then they show like it's their story, their past, present, their future, and they have kids, and like it's sort of like it's a very existential feeling movie. Like life is short, you gotta love it, you gotta embrace it, and then someone gets sick. It looks like she gets sick with cancer or something, and it's their journey, and like they don't give away like what happens, but this isn't the type of movie you want to watch on a cold Sunday night type of thing. You don't like it's you got to be in the mood for it. You got to want this. And these types of movies, I usually don't get anything good when I watch these movies because it just makes me depressed. And I
Mhm,
understand the lessons these types of movies teach.
mhm.
And I think this actually looks like a really good movie. And
They're both brilliant. They're
they
both
both look like they're
brilliant
giving
actors.
genuinely real, like I'm watching a real relationship on screen, and
Mhm,
that's two really recognizable actors who and getting like lost in that trailer. So I think this looks fantastic. I am gonna have a hard time getting to the starting line with it because of what these types of movies do to me. I don't know if other people feel the same way or not. But it's tough, especially where I'm at, like the past couple of years. I don't know if it's like having kids or turning 40 or what, but I definitely have been going through like existential thoughts about like life and stuff like that. And I don't, it happens to all of us. And like watching this trailer, I'm like, oh my God. It's like when
mhm.
Instagram sends you videos of like, that mess in the living room? Well, in 15 years, you're going
Oh
to wish
my
it was still there.
god,
And I'm
yeah.
just like, you shut up.
I started crying last week on a video that was like, "It's my daughter's 5th birthday. This is what I remember from her first 5 years," and I'm like, "Oh my
I
god."
know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this trailer was super depressing. Yeah, like you said, like, I'd have to be in a mood for it. Like, I'd have to have an amazingly good day going into this.
You're like, I want to have such a good day that I completely crater it by watching this movie.
Destroy it. Um, but I remember online and still online, they're describing this thing as a rom-com. It is not a rom-com unless I'm missing something or that trailer was cut the wrong way. It does not look like a rom-com. I found myself actually tearing up, not at the sad stuff, but at the moment where she's taking the pregnancy test. I remember that feeling so vividly when I first found out I was pregnant that I just started crying when I was watching the trailer because I was like, I
Oh
remember
yeah,
the happiness and excitement and just like joy, like unfiltered joy when you find out you're having a kid.
the shock
Oh,
too.
oh my God. Yeah. And you're like, what? What? And you like kind of misbelieve it for a while.
She
Uh,
had me take one just to see.
did you?
Did I tell you that?
No.
Yeah, I took a pregnancy test.
That's actually kind of funny. But yeah, no, it's just that moment for me kind of hit me. And it's stuff like that. Like we just said, like anything with kids, I've become a nicer person, I guess. I have more of a heart than I used to.
I'm not
Uh
saying a word.
but we'll see what happens. It does explain why Florence shaved her head a couple years back. Remember she shaved her head and everyone was like, "Wow, why'd she shave her head for this movie?"
Right. Yeah. Like Natalie
Um
Portman.
Yeah, yeah. Ugh, I was saying the other day I gotta watch V for Vendetta sometime soon. I love that movie.
You know what was the most shocking, or like that may have like ruined a whole show was when Kerry Russell cut her hair in Felicity.
It did ruin the show. It tanked.
Did we ask
Tanked
Greg
the
Grunberg
show.
about that?
No, but it tanked the show.
It
Like
did. She had like the
like
most beautiful hair, and people like, and I think mostly women watched that show. They felt betrayed.
yeah, they literally got the show canceled by cutting her
Yeah.
hair. Not
Yeah.
only that, it's now a thing. It was at the time with WB.
Contracts.
You have to do in the contract, you're not allowed to cut your hair unless you get approval. Like that was a thing that was put in after Kerry Russell.
Kerry
Had
Russell rolls up to season 5 looking like Corey Matthews from Boy Meets World, and
She
people are like,
totally
"Oh
did. Oh
no,
my God, it was
we're
not good.
finished."
Yeah, it was not good. But we're not finished yet.
No, it's time for us to get into. Usually, now let me say this: Nerdy and Nice still evolving. We have a lot of new things we're going to do on this show. We're going to start doing things like questions, a lot of cool stuff. But
Mhm,
typically, what we've been doing is talking about what we've been watching. But
mhm,
today, we're live. We want to talk about San Diego Comic-Con. We want to give some predictions. We want to have some fun. We like to do some predictions for Star Wars on TRB. Now it's time to do some predictions about what we might see at San Diego Comic-Con. Um,
mhm.
so, Lacey, you have been to San Diego Comic-Con.
I've been
You
once. To
you
be clear.
know the con circuit. You know the behind the scenes stuff. You're the
Mhm,
queen of the con for TRB. So I'll let you
mm.
start by saying, unless you prefer to defer, what do you think is going to go down at San Diego this year?
Well, I did pull up the schedule, thank you, Variety, where they kind of ran through everything on Hall H. For those of people that don't know, Hall H is the big stage at San Diego Comic-Con every year that has probably the biggest content studio panels that usually they release trailers, make big announcements, etc. So they have those schedules up. So I was running through it to just kind of like highlight what I thought was a big deal. So first of all, they have the Marvel Studios Ultimate Deadpool and Wolverine Celebration of Life. And the comment is no description is provided, but in an unusual move, seating is available in advance via an online lottery. So starting with that, it is kind of rare for there to be an online reservation system for Hall H. Usually you wait outside and it is disgusting. There are bugs and rats and all this other stuff, and people sleep outside all day under these like overhang tents to get into the room. Um, this one is an online lottery. To me, says that that's because there's something else coming out of this experience that they need to know the exact amount of people in the room. My assumption would be that not only is it going to be a panel with the whole cast and crew of Deadpool and Wolverine, I think they're also going to give a screening of Deadpool and Wolverine that night. They're going to say, hey, from here, you're going to a screening. You're going to be the first ones to see the movie.
Get a wristband on your way out.
Or not the first ones. I guess they've had premieres and stuff, or some of the first people to get a wristband on the way out. I remember 2015, we were doing Celebration when I was working for ReedPop. We were doing Celebration in Anaheim, and it was when Force Awakens was announced. It was a big deal. Harrison Ford was supposed to come, but he crashed his plane. But then he ended up going to San Diego, And I remember working for Reed Pop, and we were all very jealous because what they did is they had a whole panel about the movie. And then after the movie, they had everybody leave to go to a John Williams concert. And I was like, why didn't they do that at Celebration with the whole crew of diehard Celebration celebrate like Star Wars fans? But yeah, I see them doing that with this. What do you think?
Yeah, that makes total sense. Especially it's right up against the release date, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah. When does the movie come out?
I believe it comes out that weekend.
Oh yeah. So yeah, July 26th. Yeah.
Yeah, it comes out
Yeah,
that
I think that's definitely gonna happen. I think that's a good call. I agree with you there. Um, Beyond that, for Marvel,
Their panel is Saturday.
Saturday, I think Robert Downey Jr. is going to walk out on that stage, and they're gonna reveal the comeback of Tony Stark. Um, I think that is gonna put a lot of pressure on Warner Brothers to deliver, and it wouldn't surprise me. I don't know if this is the
I don't
case.
think Warner Brothers has a panel at
I
this
thought
show this year.
oh, they don't? I thought I saw someone say they did. Oh,
I
alright.
don't see it on this schedule unless they added it late, which is also a possibility because you look at the schedule from like other sites and there's gaps, which is what happens sometimes at cons is you have a schedule. And usually what you have is you have blocks of time that have gaps in between because you have to clear out the room, you have to get people out, clean up any issues, stuff like that. They do tech rehearsals sometimes days before or right before.
Mhm.
So there's these gaps in the schedule that they get announced or they get announced last minute. So maybe there's one coming in last minute. I didn't see that on here, and I was surprised when I didn't see a Warner Brothers one. Marvel Studios is 6 to 7 p.m. on Saturday, and it's Marvel Studios president and producer Kevin Feige and special guests, which is Disney's favorite phrase, provide an inside look at the ever expanding Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt that they're gonna have big surprises there, and I I just have this feeling that they're gonna try to steal the weekend, and that's the way to guarantee you're gonna steal the weekend. Um, I think him walking out on stage in some dramatic fashion would be really
Hmm.
steal the show, and be the biggest headline of that weekend. I was under the impression that Warner Brothers was gonna be doing something, so now I'm not sure because I was gonna guess that DC might try to counter that by announcing who the new Batman is. Um,
Mm.
I'm not sure,
They're
but
doing a Penguin panel, so they're doing an HBO limited series from
I
Warner Brothers
saw that.
Television, Matt Reeves' The Batman. They're doing a Penguin at 4:45 that day. But yeah, Marvel comes at 6, and then there's From, which is from MGM Plus, which is Amazon Plus, and then at night is Kevin Smith.
I maybe it's just James Gunn is trying to learn from the mistakes of the past with DC and Warner Brothers, where all they tried to do was worry about and keep up with Marvel's pace. Maybe he's like, look, it's not our time yet. We're not going to show them something that's not enough or try to just get by with scraps.
Or
We're
they're
going to
doing
wait.
their own thing. They did it last time. Remember, didn't they do like
The
DC
DC
Domination?
Dome, the DC
Dome,
Dome or whatever it
yeah,
was. Yeah. The,
Domination.
the fan dome or whatever. But because I'm looking at this and I'm seeing DC has a Penguin panel about the Colin Farrell spin-off show from the Batman, the Robert
Mhm,
Pattinson, Matt Reeves one. That's not going to be tied to the DCU at all.
mhm.
Um, and then that's going to be followed by Marvel. Like
There's a reason Marvel got the 6:30 to 7 or
that's what I
6:30,
mean. Like so DC
whatever
is not
slot.
showing up to try to win. DC is giving Marvel San Diego Comic-Con is what's happening. They're going to wait for their turn.
And if you're working on Comic-Cons, honestly, you give them what they want because you want them to keep making their announcements. It
Yeah.
is a little bit of a, interesting situation because San Diego is right before D23, which, as you can see, there's no Lucasfilm panel here. There's no Star Wars, no Andor, anything. Skeleton Crew, what's coming from Lucasfilm. I'm sure they're going to save that for D23. There's no other Disney stuff at all, like animation, Disney Studios. It's just Percy Jackson panel and then Marvel. I think that's obviously a strategic choice by Disney because they want to have the best announcements at their own show, but they're going to give Marvel stuff to San Diego because San Diego has been pretty good to them over the years and given them the best slots. Plus, Kevin Feige's very specific on rewarding the fans that love comics. I could see them doing the full schedule again, or the roadmap of what's to come. I know it's obviously changed from the last time they were there, so he's going to have to acknowledge that. And Blade clearly hasn't happened, which was like the big thing at the end of their last panel.
That still seems like it's like
a mess.
they want to make it, but it's stalled out.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think they're going to bring Robert Downey Jr. out, or actually they might save that for D23. Why wouldn't they say that for D23?
Because they won't bring out like Chris Evans because they don't want him stealing the spotlight from Anthony Mackie's Captain America.
Right. And they wouldn't.
Yeah. Thor, I feel like people are still kind of like soured on about
He's going to be there for Transformers.
Yeah, but I'm saying I'm trying to think of who else could make a massive splash for Marvel.
I think Fantastic Four is going to be announced at San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah, but Fantastic Four,
they're going to bring out Pedro, Vanessa Kirby, Ebon Moss, and Joseph Quinn on stage and say this is
a great cast.
Four. They're going to show a picture, maybe the logo, give out a hat with it on it. Or we talked about the hats for Deadpool where it had the Avengers logo with the Anarchy A on it. I think they're going to give those out. They'll probably bring out Ryan Reynolds again because he's already there. They'll just have him stay an extra day, extra couple days. Do you think they'll confirm that Harrison Ford is Red Hulk in this panel?
Yeah, I think they'll do that.
Daredevil, Born Again. You'll get more footage for that, I'm sure.
Yeah, you may get some stuff with the return of John Bernthal's Punisher with Daredevil. Yeah. Which I love John Bernthal. He's great.
Oh, he's great. Yeah.
Yeah. Like my wife and I have been watching The Bear season 3, and she told me, she's like, I think what I've noticed with the show is I am way more completely dialed into all the stuff with Mikey, the flashbacks with the brother. And I'm like, John Bernthal, the guy just does it, man. He can captivate a screen. And so I love the Punisher, and they haven't done great with Punisher, so that's interesting. But when I think about everything that has happened with, and all the stuff Jeff Snyder has been reporting that seems to be pretty true about the future of Avengers is they don't really have the director, they don't have writers. It was just reported Michael Waldron's off of it, but I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah.
And everything that's happening with the villain, I know he's trying to like have a comeback. And I always forget his name, and I'm glad I guess I do. But who's supposed to be the villain for Marvel right now?
Jonathan
Majors.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
he was supposed to be Kang. So the question is it going to be Kang? Are they going to introduce Dr. Doom instead?
That's what I mean.
Kang,
so I feel like they need a big person, and there's nobody bigger in terms of a personality than Robert Downey Jr.
They did announce Galactus for Fantastic Four, didn't they? I forget what the actor's name.
I think you are right.
So that's like a very big villain for Fantastic Four. It is also interesting that Fantastic Four is taking place in the 60s. So how does that work into now?
With Marvel, they could take place on Jupiter. It just doesn't matter.
Yeah. I think we will get them.
Marvel's just like,
people are saying they're even seeing kind of flags around San Diego with their faces on it and stuff.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, beyond that, I mean, I know Star Wars doesn't have much. I think they have the publishing panel or something like that, and
a booth, and that's kind of it.
But
they'll probably have costumes from Acolyte.
Yeah. Do you think there will be any like other big franchise announcements or reveals? Or do you think people are staying out of the way of Marvel this weekend? Or that, the weekend of San Diego Comic-Con?
It's weird because I feel like you could see announcements like with Hunger Games. They had just announced doing a prequel of the games with Haymitch, which is
Mhm.
Woody Harrelson's character. That's a huge thing because for the longest time, a lot of fans like myself, we wonder what he had been through to become this kind of crazy alcoholic character because the games were so terrible and his games were like the famous one before Katniss. So the fact that they announced that they're making that, the big question is who's going to play Haymitch, the younger Haymitch. So that's something that they could announce, but I'm sure they're looking into that now. But um, that would be probably a big fandom moment is, hey, who's playing Haymitch for Hunger Games at least?
Interesting.
Or who's playing the next Doctor? They're doing a Doctor Who panel. So if they announce like who the
Oh,
next
yeah,
Doctor
and
is
those
or
are
something like
massively
that.
popular. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's weird that they're not doing seemingly a WB panel, but like you said, they could just not be doing one.
Does Netflix ever do anything at these? Like, how come? Like, I'm surprised.
Netflix
Like,
does their own thing now. They do the Tudum event, but but Netflix does tend to do stuff with Reed Pop in the fall
yeah, I
at
was
New
gonna
York
say
Comic
like
Con.
with Stranger Things filming now, like that'd be a spot to show
Stick
something.
something in. Yeah, but they do
Yeah,
their own stuff now. That's the other tricky part is when COVID happened, all these events were canceled. So
yeah.
these companies had to pivot to do other things. And oftentimes they were like, well, why don't we do our own thing? So Netflix did do their own thing. They did this whole streaming thing on their platform that you could watch that they made every single announcement that they were doing.
And now they're building Netflix towns or whatever.
Experiences. Yeah. King's
Yeah.
Crossing or whatever it's called in Pennsylvania. It's
Well,
crazy.
it'll be interesting. Do you have anything else you want to throw out there? We still have time, so we can amend this next week. But
We do have some questions. Do you want to answer some questions?
yeah, let's close things out with some questions.
So first up we have Matt Lawless who said, anyone watching House of the Dragon? I can kick it off with no, I'm not.
So I've watched all of season 1. I just haven't started season 2 yet. My wife has tapped out because season 1 bothered her so much. So I am a lone wolf. Oh, season 1. Yeah, Lacey, don't watch House of the Dragon. You
I'm
will
not
not.
going to.
Yeah. So lone wolf for me, I just got to find my time to sit down and watch it because it usually would have to be late night, and by that time, a heavy show like that, I'm like, oh. But yeah, me, I'll be watching it, so I'll check in with you guys on my thoughts on it.
People are going nuts. Mike's up. Thanks for Mike. He says, hashtag ask the nerds. What are you most excited to see announced at San Diego Comic-Con? I'm going to a Daredevil trailer. I want to see what they're doing for that. Also, the Fantastic Four stuff I mentioned. I want to see Pedro Pascal as Mr. Fantastic.
I want to see the screen go black and the return of Jarvis, and you hear the voice of Paul Bettany, and he announces Tony Stark, and he comes out, and it's Robert Downey Jr., and he like comes out like sort of like Tony Stark should, where it's like how the Undertaker would arrive at WrestleMania, which is from below the stage.
They're not going to build that.
No, but they should. But I do think I'm excited to see the return of Tony Stark, but we'll see.
Fair. And then we have Everything Under the Umbrella. Thanks for your comment. Said, Lacey, you were in the con industry. How do companies gauge marketing outreach from cons? I am going to D23 and I'm just curious. I kind of don't understand this question. He's asking, how do companies gauge marketing outreach? Like, how do they listen to fans?
Or maybe how they feel the presentations were successful or not. Is that what he's saying?
Yeah, I guess there's a couple different ways you can go about this. Everything Under the Umbrella. For the marketing outreach with fans, like what fans would want to see, usually what I would have done is put out a post being like, who do you want to see? Straightforward. Or recording how many times people brought up certain stuff or what was popular. I remember when Stranger Things came out and blew up, I immediately went to the person that booked talent and was like, you should get Millie Bobby Brown. And I remember we were the first con to get Millie Bobby Brown. and David Harbour right after Stranger Things, and I had made the image for marketing for the newsletters and stuff, and I was so proud of myself because I like
Nice.
photoshopped them on a forest, and I made it look like the Upside Down. I was like all pumped about it. So, but mostly it's just like kind of being online, listening to what people are talking about, what's trending. But sometimes those things do not translate. I want to be clear. Like sometimes you could bring in a guest that you think is going to do gangbusters and just doesn't make money, doesn't draw in attention. It just sometimes it's a kind of a test, what's going to work, what's not going to work. I know that the tried and true ones are usually ones that deal with nostalgia. We were, I think, the first con also to get like the Boy Meets World cast, which was something I had pushed for years and years and years to come. Or SpongeBob. Tom Kenny was a big one that as soon as we got SpongeBob, people went nuts for because it's just like this childhood thing that people have a connection to.
Yeah.
It's tough though because a lot of guests are not cheap, not just for their guarantees, but also for their autographs. It's expensive to meet certain people.
Lacey, who was one person that you met that was nicer than you had expected them to be?
Giancarlo Esposito.
Oh yeah, does seem like a nice guy.
He comes across very scary because he's very dry and serious, like because he plays up his whole like I'm a bad guy.
Yeah.
And it was during Breaking Bad, and I remember I had to get a photo of him for social media, and I went up and I was like, "Hi, I'm Lacey. I'm from Social. Can I get a photo?" And he was just like, "Yeah, sure." And then he like started giving me a hard time, but like I didn't realize at the time it was him joking. Like he was joking with me. So at first I was like, oh God. And then he was just like, I'm just kidding. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like he was just like very nice. And he takes times
cool.
with all the fans. And he was like doing like, the poses with people at his autograph table, like he was gonna kill them. And like
That's what it's all about.
yeah. Like, the funny photos that people take with celebs. I think my biggest regret from cons was I remember the last New York Comic-Con that I worked. I was so hyped about SpongeBob SquarePants being at the show. And I was so incredibly busy. I also got punched at that New York Comic-Con, fun fact, by someone.
I remember.
It was just a crazy weekend that went by in a blur, and I was never able to kind of stop and enjoy it and or do anything because I was just working so much. But I'll never forget my friend who was working kind of the guest relations had mentioned like, "Oh, Tom Kenny wants you to come to his table and come say hi. Like he hears you're a big SpongeBob fan." And I was like so ecstatic. I wanted to meet him so bad. And I just never got to go. So I never got to see SpongeBob. So every time I see SpongeBob, like they just done the Kids' Choice Awards, by the way, which is so genius what they've been doing, which is doing the like 3D characters of Patrick and SpongeBob. They did the Super Bowl where they host it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They just did that for the Kids' Choice Awards, and it was hilarious. But yeah, that's like my big regret. That and like Carrie Fisher. I met her in passing, but I never really got to talk to her. And I remember
love to Carrie Fisher.
I remember the last show I was at where she was there. I said, you know what, I'll get her next time. And I did not. I think that's my big regret. Marketing outreach, otherwise gauging how panels do, it's how many people are in the room, how nuts people went for it.
Yeah.
Did you have a line that you had to turn people away? I remember Walking Dead was that thing for New York Comic-Con for many years. Like you couldn't get people to like once the room was capped, people went nuts. It was tough.
Did people keep talking about it after? That's a big thing, always a big thing, because a lot of people aren't in the room. So you want to, like, I remember with Star Wars, or even at New York Comic-Con, like people piling out of a panel, and I remember like not being in it, and people are talking about it. You're like, oh man, Walking Dead, yeah, all right.
Yeah, and they showed you like scenes and stuff.
Yeah,
do giveaways and yeah.
But all right, cool.
I hope that answers your question. I hope I got it right. If not, just come find me online. I'll answer them.
And we'll be doing more questions and more segments and fun stuff on Nerdy and Nice, of course. But that brings us to the end of the first ever live Nerdy and Nice episode. So we want to thank everybody who joined us live, or if you're listening, of course, as you have been on your favorite podcast app or on the channel after the fact. Either way, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. We've been taking a lot of big risks the past year and a half. Obviously, we left a website we were affiliated with TRB, broke out on our own, started our own channel, lost all those subscribers we had. We're starting to march our way back. We just passed 3,000 subscribers on the channel. It's humble, but thank you all very, very much for that. And then we decided hit sub on that thing. So get me. And then we decided to, hey, let's just start another brand new podcast. So the support means a great deal. It's scary for us to do it, but we want to just keep growing and evolving and doing stuff that we love to do here. And starting this new show has meant a lot to us and has made podcasting about Star Wars even more fun because we get to split up, clean our palate and talk about other stuff. So thank you all so much. It means a lot. And for our patrons, if you do support TRB, whether that's because of Nerdy and Nice or the Resistance broadcast, thank you so much. And if you haven't yet, check it out, patreon.com/TRB podcasts. Lacey, we did have one Sneaky Zebra fired off a prediction on Patreon. So he believes at San Diego ComicCon, he wrote, I'm curious what will be announced because I'll be there. So Gary will be there. He said, assuming Marvel will show the Thunderbolts and Daredevil teaser trailer. So Lacey, like you were saying about Daredevil, he said, I wouldn't be shocked if we saw some behind the scenes sizzle for Superman at a Warner panel. So he thinks there's a Warner panel. Maybe not, but either way.
Maybe there is. And like I said, it's just not on the schedule yet. It's going to be like a last minute addition. Because that was the other thing I was trying to get to, but I didn't get to it, is like when you organize cons, sometimes you're waiting till the last minute to announce something because you have to wait for the studio to give the okay because they're locking stuff in on their end. So you could get like a week out, a panel gets shoved into a spot, or all of a sudden they're doing a screening of something that wasn't planned, or you could get a partner like Disney who likes to surprise you and they'll be like, oh, it's just surprise guests, surprise things, we're just going to surprise, and you're like, you have to market this thing. How can I market it if it's a surprise? So maybe something does show up. I could see James Gunn popping up in one of the Superman panels that's not his, because there are like comic Superman panels or the TV show or like Jim Lee Spotlight, DC Comics, like he could show up there. You never know.
We never know. Yeah. But yeah, thank you to everybody for your support on Patreon. Definitely check it out and support us if you can. Special shout out to the movie star generals, Carmelo, John Reese, Jetta Rosewater, Frank Grande, Nick Kratz, Chris Morales, Brian Smith, Danny, Mike Ramori, Brendan McLaughlin, Sneaky Zebra, Dave Hornack, Jolton Jedi DiMaggio, and Colin Cormier. And our silver screen Spice Runners, David Probus, Neil Shaw, Kendall Gilner, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, and the Fort Worthian. And however you support us, it means a great deal. So thank you very, very, very much. Lacey, where can people chat you up about San Diego Comic-Con and all that other good stuff?
People can find me on social media at Lacey Gillerin and on TikTok at It's Lacey Gillerin. And I hope that with all the craziness going on in the world, that the people out here listening know that you can always drop by Nerdy and Nice or TRB to have a little fun and thank you for letting me have some fun when things get tough. I appreciate it.
Yeah, agreed. Escaping to a lot of these stories and Star Wars and that sort of thing has been a big help for me, and sharing our love of things beyond Star Wars now has been really cool so far, and I know Lacey feels the same way. So for me, at Johnny Hoey, I'm also ranting about the Yankees. It seems like they were falling off a cliff and they might have righted the ship. So if you're down to talk sports, I'm there for you as well. My movie pod, Just Like the Movies. And me and Lacey, the Resistance broadcast, back with you live. Yeah, we're live again this week, Wednesday nights. Jake Berlin will be joining us from A Certain Point of View. Excited to talk to Jake about the finale, Acolyte finale. So I don't know what's about to happen when we watch that show tomorrow night, but we'll be talking all about it. I better see
here, though. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, right. So 8:30 East, right here on our channel, youtube.com/SDCC at TRB Podcast, and of course on your favorite podcast feeds, on the Resistance broadcast feed. But yeah, so we'll be with you live talking Star Wars Wednesday, and for Nerdy and Nice, we'll be back with you next Monday on your favorite podcast apps and the channel as well. So from me and Lacey here at Nerdy and Nice, until next time, we'll see you around, kids.